We just continue. Yeah. We good?
Yeah, we're good. You copy?
The people we have here, we have got Dan Shikanda from the AFC, we have James Theuri from Talanta, Jackton from Mathare, Chris from Police, Jared from Shabana, myself from Tusker FC, Gerfa Sogola from Gor Mahia, and Gisheru from Posta. We have apologies from Kakamega, Kakamega Homeboys, Ulinzi, Marashuga, Sofapaka, and Bidco. And the reason we've met, of course, we are in the silly football season. We want to deliberate as KPL as to the way forward and how we participate in this very important exercise, which is the upcoming elections. So we've sat down today, the first of many meetings. We want to deliberate on wider football issues, from what affects our nation as a footballing nation, from who leads the federations, who leads the counties, who leads NEC. How do we safeguard the future of kids growing up in Dandora, in Kisumu, in Marsabit? How do we safeguard their future? How do we create pathways for them? We must ask the difficult question as to how this country becomes a better footballing nation. Where are our playing surfaces? With governance, we want to ensure that this country in football is led by people of high integrity and governance. So we are not going to sit back. We are going to sit down as Kenya Premier League. We will even reach out to the other football stakeholders in the NSL, in the other divisions, in the Women Premier League, in the Kenya Secondary School Sports Association, to the wider stakeholders. But as the top tier league, we want to speak in one voice. We want to interrogate those who shall be passed to vie for these positions. We will ask them to come and meet us. We will ask them for their vision. We shall judge them on what they present to us and how that not only benefits the Premier League, but also the other leagues. We understand as a Premier League that we can be a big engine for change. We can be the league that attracts billions of shillings in sponsorships from both merchandising, from TV rights, from gate revenue, from partnerships with corporates both locally and internationally. We must become a force to reckon with here in the region, on the continent. Once the Premier League is doing that, we can then be able to support the other leagues. We generate the funds here, we use those to develop the youth football, to give pathways to our under-10s, our under-17s, to support the government of Kenya to fulfill its mandate in actually creating pathways for our talent in football. So that is why we are gathered here. I know maybe I might be disappointing you. Maybe you thought I'm going to announce I'm vying. I'm not vying. But the reason we've met is because we want to ensure that this caucus of the 18 Kenya Premier League clubs has a voice, has influence to direct how football matters go forward from today. And we have a very important exercise. On Monday, all the candidates will hand in their papers, and around, I think, the 2nd of November, we'll know the final list, and this caucus shall be speaking in one voice in terms of who we support. I don't know whether anybody has anything to add. I think that's about it.
That's awesome. So maybe questions from you. That's all.
Here is one of the ones you cannot miss.
Gor Mahia is here.
You cannot miss Gor.
And then two, you talk about you look out for candidates, for them, oversee them. This may be one of some of the things that you're going to look out for the next Fkf-Pl. What are some of the things you want to see in the next football president?
I think I've been quite clear on that. We want people who can take the country forward in terms of football. Not just at the Premier League level, but all the way down to the grassroots to develop and give an opportunity for our youth, for our kids who want to use football as a platform to, to develop their talent and to make a living out of it. We want someone of integrity, someone who can handle the funds both from FIFA and both from the government of Kenya with the highest integrity. Someone with the heart of this country, someone who cares about football in our country. That is the person we want, whether a man or a woman, who shall be able to lead football in this country, not for themselves, but for that child growing up in Shorimoy, in Marsabit or Mombasa. Someone who will actually care about growth of football in our country. We may not go to the World Cup, that may not be important, but we should be able to run our leagues with integrity. We should be able to have our fixtures run on time. We should have to have a proper pipeline. We should be having a youth league. Our women league should be strong and powerful. If you look now around the world, a lot of women's leagues are very, very powerful. What's happening to ours? Where's the sponsorship? We only have 12 women playing in that league, 12 teams. We should have support for that. Club licensing is becoming more difficult in terms of the support that we need for club licensing. A team must now have in the Premier League, you have a main team, you have a youth team, you have a women's team, and you have a youth, an under, I think it's an
15.
under 15 team.
Under 15.
So the expenses, we want someone who will lead the federation who can sign contracts in consultation with stakeholders. Someone who just hides a contract in their pocket and then brings it to us to sign on the final page. We are rejecting those people. So we want someone who will lead us, not for himself or herself, someone who will lead us because of football in Kenya, that we may develop our leagues, that we may develop our talent pipeline, that we may develop surfaces for children all across this country to play on proper surfaces. Today you are here on this lawn. It's not a football stadium, but we should have 100,000 of such surfaces. We should join hands with the Kenya Secondary School Associations. Look at all the primary schools in our country. We should be using their facilities, the universities and the colleges, the county governments. We want someone who can bring together the corporate world in one voice. Look at our sponsorship today. How many years have we had the Premier League with absolutely no sponsorship? An opaque TV deal. This is what we're saying no to. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Yes, and then finally, there's been
Competed in two previous elections, and if you look at the two previous elections, Premier League clubs or top tier leagues clubs have always been divided. So the purpose of this meeting, and we've said this is just a start, it was a self-sponsored meeting, and we said as Kenyan Premier League clubs, we need to speak in one voice, and that is where we are heading to. Watch this space, because as we've told you, we are 12 here. We are 12 in total, with those ones who've sent the apologies. There are clubs that will bring on board. You might be shocked that next time you come here, you'll find also those 10 NSL clubs joining us, and the women, because we are talking about football clubs. We are not talking about only the top tier league. So we have decided that we are not going to be taken for granted anymore. We are people of integrity. If we are talking about change, that is the change that we want. And that's why we've started this meeting. So I can promise you that without benefit of doubt, we will be speaking from today henceforth as Premier League clubs. And our vote must count this time round. Thank you.
Fantastic.